Suppose he comes and makes a declaration in your presence that he has closed one of your campuses and on the spot. Then I told him that it is not possible because all our campuses are accredited and licensed by the government in where he is working. So he can't be able to do that. So George, I'm humbled to take this opportunity to invite you to address this congregation.
God is good, and all the time. Mr. Chancellor, sir, Chair of the Governing Board, Professor Gicharu, and Madam Nyutu, Chair of Council and members, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Wanderi, the founding Vice Chancellor and his dear wife. I've always known the two of them, but I never thought they were connected until today. My colleague Vice Chancellors from some of the top universities, Kenyatta University, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, distinguished scholars, faculty, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I'm deeply excited to be here this morning on this 17th graduation ceremony, but I would want you to allow me as sitting cabinet secretary to restate two policy directions which are not concerned with universities and which is making me sleepless, with your permission. The first one, and I would like the media to get it very clear. The 2020 school fees guidelines, the government of Kenya, under the leadership of His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, continues to provide free day secondary grants per learner for tuition, operations, and infrastructure improvement. Funds are disbursed to schools based on enrollment uploaded by principles of National Education Management Information System, NEMIS. That is the first point. The second point, I urge all college principals and boards of management to ensure that these funds are used for the intended purposes. This will enable us to further the attainment of the presidential legacy of 100% transition, improve learning environment, and ensure the right to education is achieved. Point number 3, I will lead senior ministry officials in a nationwide monitoring exercise to ensure that Form 1 students are joining the schools that they were selected to. So this nonsense of principals saying that government has increased school fees is a figment of the imagination which has emanated from some of the members of the print media. Parents are therefore advised to only pay the amount of fees set by the ministry and to report any incidents otherwise to the concerned authorities. I also want to urge the public that all children, including those who got less than 100 marks, they are very intelligent, because that 100 mark means nothing. There's 100% transition. Every child must have unfettered access and help to join the schools that they have been selected. I thank you very much, Mr. Chancellor. I hope this is now very clear. That's what I meant, and added that because of infrastructure challenges that the government is ably trying to deal with, if boards of management, together with parent teachers associations, agree on a voluntary scheme where they want to improve infrastructure, they should be allowed to do so. And no child, especially the ones that cannot afford, should be asked to contribute. And the key word here is voluntary. Thank you, Mr. Chancellor, I want to come back to what brought me here today. People are asking why I'm here. We have 79 universities and I can't possibly go to all of them. So I will go to one private, one public, one private, one public, and we move on. Maybe I'll do about 5 or 6. Congratulations to all you graduates for a job well done. I strongly believe that you have been unskilled and that the certificates you are going to collect here today are not pieces of paper. And if that is true, then you get out there tomorrow, grab whichever job that you can get. Are we together? If I'm told to go and drive a tractor, I shall do it very happily, as long as it enables me to look after my dear wife and son and probably the forthcoming grandchild. Are we together? Because that is the problem with you graduates. I am starting by addressing you directly. Everybody wants to wear a white-collar job. In government today, we are saying fewer people should go to universities, more should go to other tertiary colleges where we unskill them to be able to provide employment for themselves and employ others. But even as a graduate, for example, if you are a lawyer, I can see the School of Law is graduating today, who says you must go to the law school and become a traditional barrister? That is a bit stale and mundane. If you are a lawyer, all the frontiers are open to you. Pick the one that comes first to you. Are we together? Because you see, don't say, oh, you know, I've been a lawyer for 10 years, and you know there is no employment. Of course, then you must not be very intelligent. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I want to say that I have midwifed this university from its inception. When we gave the letter of interim authority, I was working at the authority that gave it, and all the other processes that took place until it has come to this level. I am also very beholden to the medical school, because while serving as the chair of the Kenya Medical Practitioner and Dentist Board, I once again midwifed the medical school. In fact, I was asking you whether the first group of graduates are here, and you say they'll come next year. I know of your infrastructure, and I'm also happy to see people like Professor Osula, who are veterans in surgery and medical administration, serving in your council. I hope he just doesn't serve in the council. He can do much more than that to you if you allow him. I would like to state that, and I'm going to go into detail, government has 79 universities, more or less 50% private, 50% public. Those are outrageous numbers. But look at this one. Look at, you open your eyes, which God has given you. Look at even this arrangement that we have here. I have followed this university very closely, and it is transformative because we have said, right size your numbers, right size yourself. Start with your own self-audit. While a great majority of public universities are still dancing around cycles, Mount Kenya University has already right-sized from 11 to 4, and nothing stops them from continuing to look at what they are doing, so that you become thin and lean and get things better done. I want to touch on the issue of the government working with private universities. Again, the President, in his wisdom in 2016, placed 10,000 students in private schools, and this university got about 1,127. I am told that group is graduating here today, and I would have been very happy to know how many of them dropped out. But since I wasn't told, I'm assuming almost all of them are there. I'm also happy to to learn that as we speak now, the total number of government students are 9,004. And the importance of this is that to us, there is no private student and there is no public student. These students are Kenyans, and they must be given equal opportunities. And when they leave here, some will go back and serve in the private sector and the public sector. I also want to mention the idea of a graduate school, the College of Graduate Studies that you have created. And I want to say that it is actually the way to go. But the catch is, because the university is supposed to carry out original research. It is not the volume of research that is important. It is the quality of research. So do not fall into the same trap where top grade and seamless universities in this country have lost direction and are more concerned with the numbers rather than quality. I also want to warn you in public as my friends that they are crooks, they are professional crooks who write theses for masters and PhDs. You must ensure that in order to maintain yourself where you have been, you are not swept away with what is going on in our beloved country now, where you find that a thematic university that was created for a specific purpose has gone astray because it is competing with my own university, which is Kanyanyani University somewhere near here, and the issue is just numbers. So I'm very glad to hear that you have produced only 10 PhDs. I hope they are quality PhDs, and don't be in a hurry to be saying we have produced 50. Because before you produce 50 faculty, you are going to go forth. It is only time that you cannot save. So there is no way a professor like me can be supervising 10, 12 PhDs at the same time. It is called professional armed robbery. Are we together? Because if you are supervising a PhD, you must have time to read and critique and take it back. And I'm taking this from the front because you are interviewing people with PhDs and you say, okay, what was your topic? And he doesn't remember because an expert wrote it for him. So he has to check the topic from the book. What was the concept? He doesn't remember. So this is the danger. This is the only challenge that as you go into the graduate school area, you must remember. And you can draw blood if necessary. Be very firm in terms of quality control of your PhDs. I hope you have done well so far. Because otherwise, going by what other universities are doing, you would have said you have 100 PhDs or even 70 of them today, but you have 10. And congratulations to you. So by Kenyan standards, when I was Vice Chancellor at the University of Nairobi for 10 good years, I visited over 200 universities worldwide, including almost all the South African universities, Ghanaian, European, Australian, American, and what have you. And if one was to ask me about this university, I say this is the way to go. Control the numbers and provide quality service to our people. Now, having said all those good things about this university, I will straight away proceed to speak very frankly about the status of local universities in this country. Before spelling out some of the reforms that our good government plans to pursue to ensure that we have a place in one institutions. Is this? What is a university? That definition come from a politician, or does it come from a top grade scholar? Because here in our country now, We have basically abandoned the definition of a university to our politicians who very honestly don't know what they are talking about universities. They don't know. And this, with all due respect to our leaders who are here, I'm sure some of them are graduating. And the reason I'm being very shooting straight here, that a university is supposed to to be an open place where you teach. There's seamless flow of ideas. You teach, so you must have capacity to teach. Where you teach must be available. And you must carry out research also. So if you have a university without a professor, or they have fake professors whom if you put into the Google Scholar, they are not known. They say they have 100 papers, but nobody has quoted even one sentence from them. This is where we are heading, and it has to stop. And none other than His Excellency the President realized this when I took over, and he said, no new universities, make sure you right size and transform those universities, and we are going to do it. So I would like the university fraternity, including my dear friends who are seated here, to listen very carefully. It is glaringly clear that our university sector is faced with a number of quality-related challenges, including high student enrollment, low-quality programs, and inadequate faculty. Some of these challenges frustrated the government's policy direction for reforms in education service delivery as contained in the intended sessional paper of 2012. And I quote, it was titled, Policy Framework for Education and Training, Reforming Education and Training in Kenya. That sessional paper was named. We have since come up with a new sessional paper which was adopted by Parliament in 2019. In the last few years, ladies and gentlemen, the sector has witnessed tremendous growth demonstrated by the increase in universities from 33 in number in 2012 to the current 79. Despite commendable achievement in access and equity, this expansion has had no impact on relevance, quality, and sustainability of university education, hence calling for deliberate interventions. If unchecked, this expansion can put at risk the quality and employability of our local graduates. We therefore must confront the situation if we are to achieve our mission to address issues of equity, access, quality, relevance, and sustainability. Should we, for example, allow as many universities as possible in the country, the market forces to determine them to survive? Because that is what seems to be in the mouths of the politicians. Number two, should we determine the number of universities should we determine the number of universities our country needs to produce high quality graduates in order to effectively serve the country's needs? And existing in place solid and well-managed institutions? Can we maintain or freeze accreditation of the new universities and turn the focus onto strengthening the existing ones according to their niche? I want to address the only thing my colleagues picked, because I spoke about this 6 months ago, the only thing they picked about merger. And some of them even sponsored the union to take me to court. I said, who is talking about merger? We are academics, and we are saying merger is going to happen whether I like it, whether you like it or not. It just depends on when. And the president wants this to be in a seamless manner where it is done by yourselves. When you look at the world, I'm glad there's a South African guru here. Some time back, South Africa had 34 universities. and they were bold enough to right-size them to 26. And the moment they did that, you yourself know what happened. I don't need to tell you. And South Africa, rather than being weaker, is much stronger in academic issues. When we come closer to home, Rwanda, 11 odd universities were right-sized into one large national university with thematic colleges, and it is now performing better than most of our universities. That's why I was congratulating the Chancellor and the Chair that they seem to have picked the message. There is pride in changing, because change is not acceptable. But it is the only constant thing in this world. So in order to survive, we have now agreed with Vice Chancellors and Q that they will give me their proposal once again, and Q will give me theirs, and call them together so that we have a solid forward. If that does not happen, I will be directed as to what to do, and it shall be done. There are key questions these are some of the key questions that provide answers to, ladies and gentlemen. The other issue that I want to talk about is the number of academic programs. It is fine to create academic programs, but there should be a goal about creating the academic programs. What has happened in our country is regrettable because it is more of the same thing. But for those who are listening, we are going to ensure that if you are creating a program, or if you have a program, first of all, you must be qualified to teach it. Are we together? If you don't have faculty, that program will be right-sized. If you have faculty, the second thing we shall look for, especially if it is new, is where are you going to teach it? And if you are ready, that is fine. If you are government funded, we shall ask you, how are you going to mount? How are you going to do the teaching? Because every university must survive, isn't it? The other point about this university that I like as a person is that from what I see, it looks like all the profits come back to the university. There are some private universities which should actually survive. But I think when they get the profit, they take them to buy cows or whatever, you can't tell. And coming into our own country, Baraton University was on its deathbed not long ago. They right-sized, and now they are doing better. So the number of academic programs, the Senate, the quality of Senate that you have, there are issues. Yesterday I was being asked in council, why are Senates composed of one tribe? It is not possible to have a Senate of one tribe, where one tribe is 50%. Who has told you that all Kenyans have not gone to school? So if you are stupid, then, and you are an academic, and you are thinking about your tribe, go and join politics, because I don't think you are going to help us in the academic sector. Because in the academic sector, you should first of all look at performance. And when you look at performance, you will get a rainbow straight away. So if you have a good quality Senate that will tell you, no, you can't do this, then you are on the road to making sure that you cannot just bring a program. They'll tell you, no, this one we are not accepting because it doesn't make sense. Because there has been a large increase in programs. Most of them have a few students. So the programs should be linked, if you want to help us in government, the program should be linked to what the government does. For example, I was glad when I was being told this morning that you have taken animal studies and agriculture to Nakuru. That is fine. We would want to see the impact. As you are putting money there, are you creating people who can go and give us agricultural and veterinary extensions for fee that are paid to them. Then there would be a good link between this university and what the president wants. Of course, you have produced nurses that are providing important service, which is also in tandem with what the government wants. But I'm not saying you should not start a new program, but first of all, ask yourself, why should you have a Bachelor of Science in Air Conditioning? Honestly. Because that is a course that can be done in a technical institute, and you go and earn your money quicker. Now you have that course and you don't even have a lab to teach them. So he comes out with a BSc Air Conditioning. If he gets a job, he looks for a technician who can go and repair. Is that not stupid? You correct me. Now, this one, others, including himself, 47 million, majority are below 30. How many universities do we require? And some will argue that we require one in every county. But the Constitution does not say you require one in every county yesterday. It is something that we can reach in 50 years. By the time our economy is big enough. Are we together? So the issue of numbers of universities, like now, I was very happy when the president, the first thing he told me is, no new university. And since I take orders like a soldier, if you want me to give you a new university, you go and tell my commander to tell me. Otherwise, every other, he made my work easier. Do you get the point? He thinks we are moving very slowly with the reforms, but I think I've assured him that we are just on course. So like I told you, there has been the issue of academic staffing in public universities. And this will make it easier for us to tell you, can you talk to this one and be a campus or a college of that one? Because you can't cheat. We are going to audit a total number of academic staff in universities in 2016. 13,000 employed in public universities and 4,700 in private universities. Of these, only 1,689 were at the level of professor and 2,200 at the level of associate professor. That's 9% and 12%. Now, even somebody who didn't go to university, even if you take some of those very intelligent children who have just passed and you ask them, could these people be the top managers of about 700,000 university students? And they'll tell you, no, the numbers look small. These numbers are far below the recommended numbers of academic staff required for the number of students enrolled in the universities. With an average academic staff student ratio of 1 to 39, we are definitely below the recommended ratio. Clearly, therefore, this rapid expansion, we are saying that we should be able to control the expansion. And the best person to control it is the owner, who is the Vice Chancellor. So the next question we are asking ourselves is, are we getting, with this large number, are we now getting Vice Chancellors of Professor Wahudo's caliber? Because being a professor does not make you, being a leader, you would also have to be born with a little bit of it, not just training. So with this rapid expansion and turnover, are we getting the right university managers? That's something that we have to discuss. Issues that we remember as I conclude quickly, we know that there's inadequate physical facilities. This is the wrongest example of that one. inadequate academic staff, inadequate funding for public universities in particular, with some private, where a university must be a going concern. And the onus is with the managers. That's why I'm saying, are we getting the right managers for the universities? Because, for example, when I was a manager at my own university, I said, I declared that we shall run the university with 80% of the budget. And that became a law, and everybody complied. So we cut down and ran the university that way. And paying of salaries, I had 3 months in front, so all the gymnastics was behind in the 4th month. So staff were very comfortable. So do we have the right people, or is it time that when we get somebody as a vice chancellor, we go and train the person first? I was lucky enough to be trained for my 2nd tenure, but the first one, I was not trained. So clearly, many public universities have disproportionate numbers. But to ask any professor anywhere in the world, will tell you the university is defined by the professor. And the professor has no retirement age. The retirement age is when he doesn't become seamless, he stops thinking. Because I was in Harvard recently when we were being trained to be ministers. I don't know how they were training us to be ministers, but the oldest person there was well over 80 years, and he was able to mark our staff overnight. We were about 40-something, and comment in each of them. So it is only a university which has a poor leader that says, well, if you have a professor, let me say like Professor Mwabu, who is a top grade health economist, perhaps the only top grade one in the country, and he reaches 70 years. Then you say, you see, according to the rule, you must go. That person should be nowhere near the Vice Chancellor's office. Because that Mwabu, you will find he is bringing money for you, he's training top grade people for you, he's putting your name in the international web so that your university goes up. So the university leaders must know that if they have to retire people, first of all, I think the best university has just about 40%, 42% academic staff. The worst one has 12%. So you have 12% and all these others are non-academic. What the hell do you think you are doing there? Is that a village polytechnic or a university? So as we move forward in this direction, all universities must right size towards the correct ratio of 70% academic staff and 30% support staff. For example, if I'm a professor and a chairman of a department, do I need a tea person in the office today? Do I need somebody to come and make tea for me? I think I must be very stupid, because if you go abroad, you find there's a kettle there, there's a place you are washing your cup, and all you should be asking for is the supplies which will be brought from the center. You can make your coffee anytime you want. If your colleagues come, you tell them there's coffee, there's tea, which one? Can you fix yourself a cup of coffee there? That's where we must go. Not having 5 people in the office, you are one chairman, there's a cleaner, there's another one who is dusting the windows, there's another one who is collecting the trash, and then you can't pay their salaries on time. Now, is that a manager or not? And that's precisely what we have. So we have to cut down on the luxuries that we have as university managers and be able to. It's not just about mergers. I had a raft of things that should be done here, but I'm not going to go through them, because as I've said, I've spoken to the chairman of the Vice Chancellor's Committee, and I will also speak to the head of the Private Universities Committee, so that the same rule applies. As we right size, if we find a new university that is very well anchored and go up, we shall move that one up. But we must really right size. Because you should ask yourself, for example, if you take education, fit 8 universities are teaching education, and the faculty is less than 20%. Yet the citadel of education, I don't know what percentage of education is now in that university. That's what the university is known for. Why has everybody got into education without faculty? So these are the issues that come the new year, we shall bite. We shall not allow people outside government and universities to come and tell us what to do. Otherwise, later on, they'll say, well, when you were here, then things were not done properly. I would like to end by encouraging those universities. Among the public side, you have Dedan Kimathi University, a very fine university, a very fine leader. That leader was brewed in Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. The leader who is now there. But sometimes they say, if you are not careful, your child will do better than you, isn't it? For example, why the hell do you want to have 5 deputy vice chancellors? Are you in London? Why don't you do with 1 or 2? And each of them has a stream of expenses. Why would you want to create executive deans when you can have deans, a few deans? So the VCs have so much to do, and my parting shot is this, don't waste your time, because for me I have no government. I'm serving the government of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and if you see me backing, ask yourself, who do you think is backing? Do you get the point? So don't even waste your time trying to go and see him, because he's the one who is giving me the instructions. So do you want him to give me the instructions in your presence? So I hope that by the next 2.5 years, when I leave, Mr. Chancellor, that this university will have even trimmed itself better to be the example in the private sector, as I challenge my 2 top-grade universities, Kenyatta and Jomo Kenyatta, to take cue and shine. I went to Oxford at one time. Does anybody know how many colleges are in Oxford? Does anybody know? Even the new Vice Chancellor, you should know, because there are 38 colleges and 1 university. Do you get the point? You go to Harvard, you will see the same arrangement. So we don't want to reinvent the wheel. I am sure our universities can survive, but not in the present trajectory where now, you have heard the politicians saying, oh, the president order for this one. You have 4 universities within 40 kilometers, and you want a 5th one. Do you think those people understand what a university means? It's like you treat a university like an employment agency. So I want us to work together, and the first step is with the managers, together with Q. If that one fails, then the government of the Republic of Kenya, headed by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, will give us direction and we shall implement. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm very glad to have been here. I don't know the uptenth time, because this is like I'm happy because I've seen this come from the ground, and seeing that perhaps in the private sector you can also invest and compete and even bypass some government institutions. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We can appreciate our chief guests, the MKU, measure for him, measure MKU. Our chief guest, we are measuring for you. Measure well. This is how much we love you as Mount Kenya University family. Promote. Thank you so much. Mr. Chancellor Sam, in line with promoting our young talents and in line with promoting the young ones to be role models in the society through academia, world and talent, it is my honor and privilege to invite one of our mentees under TV 47, Chipukizi. Come and say a word. Let's appreciate him as he comes to the stage.